Hello and welcome, not to my desk, but to my table for better lighting. In this instance, we're back for the second book haul of 2025. My second allotment of books has arrived, and I am ready to share them. So let's just jump right in. I got the box here beside me instead of on the table because it's pretty small. So we will start with, this little book. I got a couple pocket books in this haul. So the first one was Spirits and Sourdough, a Magical Bakery Mystery. I wanted a couple books that were a little bit lighter in the mystery genre. So to balance out the quite heavy thriller suspense aspect of what most of the books that I've acquired so far this year are. So this one is quite cutesy in the cover. And it is by Bailey Cates. It says, Hedwig Katie Lightfoot works at the Honeybee Bakery in Savannah, and she's always up for investigating her adopted home's rich supernatural history. That's why she's taking a ghost tour for the very first time. But when the psychic tour guide tells Katie that she's being followed by the ghost of a recently murdered woman, Katie realizes she saw the victim earlier that day, just before she died. She knows she must bring the killer to justice. And this murder isn't the only mystery Katie needs to solve. Her new husband, Declan McCarthy, is missing the guardian spirit who always watched over him, and she's concerned that Dec's life could be at risk if they can't find him. Under pressure from the living and the dead, Katie will have to use all her magical skills to start an investigation from scratch and avoid half-baked alibis because this baker needs to find a killer. I love the way that they use puns in these books. It's hilarious. I did my way back at the beginning of my channel, I did a few kind of this style book where they're very themed murder mysteries. And some of them were good, some of them were not so good, but I'm excited to see how this one, and I did pick up a few more, so let me grab those. So these are the next two. These are two in a series, and unfortunately, they didn't have the first one, so I made to try and pick that up before I read these, because ideally I like to read series in order. I know that for things like this, you don't technically have to do it that way, but I don't know, I just prefer to. Even though I've told myself I'm not going to buy any more books this year, I do have a gift card for the local Chapters bookstore that I got around Christmas time, and I do have rewards points that I could use, so that would be technically not buying, right? So I'm not sure which order these go in. I wish they had like numbers on the side, but they don't. Maybe it'll say inside one of them. It doesn't look like it does. You might see me shift around a little bit. I'm sitting on the floor and it's kind of uncomfortable. But, okay, so we'll start with this one. Perfect Bind, adorable cat. This one also has a cat. It seems like These are two different authors, two different storylines, but both have cute little cats on the front. All right, so librarian True Beckett, ardent defender of the printed word, is about to find out that keeping murder checked out of her beloved library is much harder than she thought. True Beckett succeeded in building a secret book room in her now bookless library, where book lovers from lovely Cypress, South Carolina, can rejoice in the printed word. She's been working hard to maintain the little library downstairs while keeping her real job upstairs in the Bookless Technology Center. The last thing she needs is a mysterious vandal who seems intent on breaking into her book-filled sanctuary and creating chaos. The nasty interloper doesn't steal anything, but brutalizes the books, knocking them off the shelves and damaging them. A patron tells True that for years he's heard rumors of a poltergeist that haunts the library, determined to scare off readers. True is certain it's hogwash, but who might be vandalizing the beautiful books she fought so hard to protect? When a dead body shows up right next to the library, True is certain that it's not a ghost, but a cold-blooded killer that she and her trusty tabby, Dewey Decimal, will need to uncover. Oh my god, the cat's name is Dewey Decimal. Oh, that is superb. Okay. So far, so good. Okay, so this one is called A Book Club to Die For. Oh, sorry, these are by Dorothy St. James. And I think, either The Broken Spine or, that must be the first one. I think A Broken Spine is the missing one, because this one says author of A Perfect Bind, which was the previous book. So, this one is, we've got little Dewey. Oh, look, he's got like a little skull on his back. Eerie. Okay. When a member of an exclusive book club is checked out, spunky librarian Trudell Beckett must sort fact from fiction to solve the murder. The Cypress Arrête Society is one of the town's oldest and most exclusive clubs. When assistant librarian Trudell Beckett is invited to speak to the group about the library, its modernization, and her efforts to bring printed books to the reading public, her friend Flossie tags along. Flossie has been on the book club's waiting list for 5 years, and she's determined to find out why she's never received an invitation to join. But not long after True and Flossie arrive for the meeting, they're shocked to find the club's president, Rebecca White, dead in the kitchen. Rebecca was a former TV actress and local celebrity, but was not known for being patient or pleasant. She's been particularly unkind to the book club's host for the evening, who happens to be the mother of Detective Jace Bailey, True's boyfriend. And Rebecca had made it clear that she didn't think Flossie was book club material. With True's boyfriend and one of her best friends wrapped up in murder, she has to work fast to figure out who cut Rebecca's story short before the killer takes another victim out of circulation. So, these, I'm actually looking more forward to them now than I probably was when I first bought them, just because they sound like so much fun. I love kind of like lighthearted, low stakes stories. Every once in a while, I mean, I do love a good, like, chilling murder mystery, thriller, suspense, horror book, but these books just remind me of like the made-for-TV movies, but in book form. They're always better, So those are the first ones. Let's now get into a little bit more of the juicy ones. Following the library theme, we have That Night in the Library by Eva Jursic, I think. Don't hold me to that pronunciation. Again, this has quotes on the back. Not my favorite, but when you have a hardcover, it seems like there's only a couple options for what publishers do. It's either quotes on the back or a photo of the author, because the description for the book is always on the inside book jacket. Okay, let's see what this one's about. One night, locked in the library. What could go wrong? On the night before graduation, 7 students gather in the basement of their university's rare books library. They're not allowed in the library after closing time, but it's the perfect place for the ritual they want to perform. One borrowed from the Greeks, said to free those who take part in it from the fear of death. And what better time to seek the wisdom of ancient gods than in the hours before they'll scatter in different directions to start their real lives? But just a few minutes into their celebration, the lights go out, and one of them drops dead. As the body count rises, with nothing but the books to protect them, the group must figure out how to survive the night while trapped with a murderer. That Night in the Library is a chilling literary mystery that transports readers to a world where secrets live in the dark. Books breathe fear to life, and the only way out is to wait until morning. She's a little dusty, like sometimes you find on books in the library. So this book I'm also excited about. I'm going to be pretty looking forward to most of the books, I think. But this was one of the first books I picked out, and I'm really interested to see kind of what level of book it turns out to be, if it's like who the target audience is, because I feel like it might be a little bit younger, but it also feels a little more mature than some of the other books that I've gotten this year that I've already kind of dipped into. Okay, so that was that one. Now let's see what else is hiding in this little box to my right. Okay, so last year I took a dip into Agatha Christie's world of mystery and murder, and this year I am doing it again. Oh, sorry, it wasn't last year. It was the year before. It's hard to keep straight when I read the books for the channel, but those were kind of OG publication prints of the books. If you watch those book reviews that I did, or just saw the thumbnail, you'll notice that they look a little bit out of date. They're very small. But they had a whole section on Book Outlet of Agatha Christie books. And the first one, I'm going to put this one down because the first one that I saw that I wanted to get was this one, Endless Night. And this book is the whole reason I placed a second order with Book Outlet this year, was because I wanted to buy it the first time and it sold out. And then I was on it later or something, and I noticed that it was back in stock. They had like just a couple copies that they had gotten, and so then I ended up buying a ton of books, which is always how it goes, isn't it? But I was interested in this book because I read that apparently it was one of her favorite books that she had written. But also apparently it's quite a departure from her traditional style of writing. I'm not sure how true that is, but I guess I'll find out now that I've read quite a few of them. So it kind of sent me down a rabbit hole into the Agatha Christie section, and they were all on really good sale. And so I purchased quite a few. One thing I will note as I pull out the other ones is if you ever order from Book Outlet, there is a kind of disclaimer hidden in their website that says the cover that you get might not be accurate to the photo. It'll be the same edition of the book, but like print-wise, the text is the same, but often publishers will recover a book, not change what's inside. But if a movie comes out or something, and there were a lot of Agatha Christie books made into movies. Sorry about the weird cut there. My feet started to fall asleep and get all pins and needly, so I had to readjust. But during this time, there were a lot of Agatha Christie books made into movies, and so they reprinted the books with advertisements on them. Another thing that happened is the a lot of the books were entering public domain. So they have this from the original publisher, which I believe is HarperCollins. Yeah, HarperCollins have this stamp on them that say the official authorized edition, which is so annoying because it just ruins the covers of the books. And none of the advertisement photos, actually, I take that back, one of them did have that. So one of the books that I bought was The Mysterious Affair at Styles. This one I knew was going to look like this with the advertisement and the stamp, but all of the other ones didn't show that. So that's just kind of something to be aware of if you're shopping on the site. This is the first time it's ever happened to me, and I was kind of annoyed by it. Not enough to return the books or anything, but it was kind of annoying. And it still annoys me. But anyways, let's start by telling you what this book is about. Endless Night. Some are born to sweet delight, some are born to endless night. When penniless Michael Rogers discovers the beautiful house at Gypsy's Acre and then meets the heiress Ellie, it seems that all his dreams have come true at once. But he ignores an old woman's warning of an ancient curse, and evil begins to stir in paradise. As Michael soon learns, Gypsy's Acre is the place where fatal accidents happen. So that's this one. I'll admit that description leaves a little to be desired, but if you're not familiar with Agatha Christie works, if you've never read any of them, they're definitely one written to a particular time. There are attitudes, language, turns of phrase in the text that may not sit well in our current public discourse. And so that's just something to be aware of for all of these. Something that's happened recently is, I believe it was HarperCollins announced that they were going to be updating some of the language in the books. And I know that that's a really controversial topic of editing historical works for modern context and sensitivities. It's something I don't agree with personally, because I believe books should be left alone. That's what I believe. Updating them doesn't erase the history. It doesn't erase the issues of our past. All it does is pretend that they didn't exist and pretend that things are better more better now than they probably are in reality. And so these books are all published pre any updates taking place, the editions that I have. So that's something to watch out for if you're looking to get any Agatha Christie books, and you want them to be true to the original author's written word. You're going to have to look for older publications, and watch out for the newer ones. They should say in them somewhere in the front pages if they've been edited or updated. Somewhere, I believe it should say that. But just so you know, just something to watch out for. Okay, so this was Endless Night. Since I've already shown this one, we'll do this one next. The sun is moving on me as I film this. I'm going to try and go a little faster. This is The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. This is the first Hercule Poirot mystery, so that's why I got this one. The origin story of Mr. Poirot. I wanted to read it, and previously some of the Poirot books that I read were a little bit hit and miss. Big fan of the movies, more the older ones than the newer ones. No shade to those, but they were the ones that I kind of watched growing up. So Hercule Poirot solves his first case in this official and fully restored edition of Agatha Christie's novel that started it all, now featuring a missing chapter and exclusive content from the Queen of Mystery. That's just a disclaimer for this specific edition. But who poisoned the wealthy Emily Inglethorpe, and how did the murderer penetrate and escape from her locked bedroom? Suspects abound in the quaint village of Styles St. Mary, from the heiress's fawning new husband to her two stepsons, her volatile housekeeper, and a pretty nurse who works in a hospital dispensary. With impeccable timing and making his unforgettable debut, the brilliant Belgian detective Hercule Poirot is on the case. One of the best-loved classic mysteries of all time, The Mysterious Affair at Styles will continue to enchant longtime fans and introduce Agatha Christie's unique storytelling genius to a host of new readers. So that was book 5 out of the box. We're going to peel right through all these Agatha Christie's. There's 3 more. So, this particular book was the one I was most disappointed in having the stamp and the advertisement on it. I might do something to try and block that out, because there were several versions of Death on the Nile on the website, and I chose this one specifically for the book jacket. And then when I got it, and it was obscured by this, and this was blaring across the bottom, oh, the disappointment. It was so frustrating, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. So Death on the Nile, very popular Agatha Christie story, been made into movies, more than once. So I really wanted to have this one to read the textual version of it, because I've seen it in media. So Death on the Nile. The tranquility of a cruise along the Nile was shattered by the discovery that Lynette Ridgway had been shot through the head. She was young, stylish, and beautiful, a girl who had everything, until she lost her life. Hercule Poirot recalled an earlier outburst by a fellow passenger. "I'd like to put my dear little pistol against her head and just press the trigger." Yet, in this exotic setting, nothing is ever quite what it seems. So that's this one. I really feel like these descriptions are not doing justice to the books, and I'm not entirely sure they are what was originally on them. I don't know. It seems like they're leaving a lot on the cutting room floor, plot-wise, to draw in someone who's not familiar with Agatha Christie and not familiar with the story. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, next one. I'm going to adjust the camera angle. I didn't quite realize just how zoomed in it was. Okay, so this is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. And I think this is one of the few ones I purchased. Oh no, it is HarperCollins. For some reason I thought it wasn't, because it didn't have the official stamp on it. But it must just be because this one wasn't made into a movie and probably isn't popular enough that it warranted an advertisement for the movie that were being published. So Roger Ackroyd knew too much. He knew that the woman he loved had poisoned her brutal first husband. He suspected also that someone had been blackmailing her. Then, tragically, came the news that she had taken her own life with an apparent drug overdose. However, the Evening Post brought Roger one last fatal scrap of information, but before he could finish reading the letter, he was stabbed to death. Luckily, one of Roger's friends and the newest resident to retire to this normally quiet village takes over, none other than Monsieur Hercule Poirot. Beloved not only by generations of readers, but by Agatha Christie herself, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd is a brilliant whodunit that firmly established the author's reputation as the Queen of Mystery. The cover on this one is really good too. I think they did a good job updating this one. There's a lot of different covers for Agatha Christie works because they've been published and republished so many times. And some of them leave a lot to be desired visually, and some of them actually look quite nice. So this one I put in the quite nice column. Now let's get the last one over with, and then we'll get back into some more diversity. It seems there is quite a purple theme going on with these that I didn't realize. Oh, I lied. There is one more book. The one I was going to show you first and then put down to show you the other one. Okay, so this one is Peril at Endhouse, and this is another Poirot. On holiday on the Cornish Riviera, Hercule Poirot is alarmed to hear pretty Nick Buckley describe her recent accidental brushes with death. First, on a treacherous Cornish hillside, the brakes on her car failed. Then, on a coastal path, a falling boulder missed her by inches. Later, an oil painting fell and almost crushed her in bed. When Poirot finds a bullet hole in Nick's sun hat, he decides that the girl needs his help. Can he find the would-be killer before he hits his target? So that's Peril at Endhouse. Then, the real last Agatha Christie book. This one has been saved till last because when I arrived it's actually, when it arrived to me, it was damaged. The spine is damaged, and it's a little torn, and there's some water damage to the book as well. But overall, not totally terrible. And when I reached out to bookhaul, they were perfectly happy to refund me. I sent them a photo of the damage, and they were like, "Oh yeah, for sure," and just did that. So that was great. So definitely a good customer service experience there. This particular book has been one of the ones that was updated the title. It says previously published as 10 Little Indians, was updated to And Then There Were None, to be more suitable to the modern reader's palate. But interesting note, but the text of the book is, I believe, the original text. So, 10 strangers are lured to an isolated island mansion off the Devon coast by a mysterious U.N. Owen. 9. At dinner, a recorded message accuses one of them in turn of having a guilty secret, and by the end of the night, one of the guests is dead. 8. Stranded by a violent storm and haunted by a nursery rhyme counting down one by one, as one by one they begin to die. 7. Which among them is the killer, and will any of them survive? So, that's And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Okay, now let's cleanse the palate of Agatha Christie and see what else I have in my box. We're gonna go a wide diversion here. This isn't a book, but I am equally excited about it. For some reason, I mean, it's not uncommon because they do sell this in bookstores, but I was able to pick up this tarot magic deck, and I am actually really excited about it, and I will have a separate review coming out on this one on its own on my regular day that I release those types of videos sometime in the future. But here's a little look at the box. But as it's not a book and this is a book haul, we're just gonna move on from this and see what else of books I have. The sun is really not cooperating with me. This is Heartwood Box by Anne Aguirre. I am really not sure how to pronounce that one. So there's a tagline here. In this tiny, terrifying town, the lost are never found. When Araceli Flores Harper is sent to stay with her great aunt Audley, the plan is simple. She'll buckle down and get ready for college. Life won't be exciting, but she'll cope, right? Wrong. From the start, things are very, very wrong. Her great aunt still leaves food for the husband who went missing 20 years ago. And local businesses are plastered with missing posters. There are unexplained lights in the woods and a mysterious lab just beyond the city limits that locals don't talk about. Ever. When Araceli starts receiving mysterious letters that seem to be coming from the past, she suspects someone of pranking her or trying to drive her out of her mind. To solve these riddles and bring the lost home again, Araceli must delve into a truly diabolical conspiracy, but some secrets fight to stay buried. So this is a YA book. So for a bit of a younger audience, but I really enjoy a lot of YA books, so I'm not deterred. It has an interesting premise and a very good book jacket, so at least to me it seems visually very appealing. So that's that one. Let's see what's next. I've got 2 left. I'm going to have to adjust again. You're going to see a little bit of floor, unfortunately. So this is The One That Got Away with Murder by Trish Lundy. Be careful who you fall for. Robbie and Trevor Cressmont have a body count, the killer kind. Handsome and privileged, the Cressmont brothers have enough wealth to ensure they'll never be found guilty of any wrongdoing, even if all of Happy Valley believes they're behind the deaths of their ex-girlfriends. First, there was soccer star Victoria Marino, Robbie's ex, who mysteriously drowned at the family lake house. Then, a year later, Trevor's girlfriend died of a suspicious overdose. But the Cressmonts aren't the only ones with secrets. Lauren O'Brien might be the new girl at school, but she's never been a good girl. With a dark past of her own, she's desperate for a fresh start, except when she starts a no-strings-attached relationship with Robbie. Her chance is put in jeopardy. During what's meant to be their last weekend together, Lauren stumbles across shocking evidence that just might implicate him. With danger closing in, Lauren doesn't know who to trust, and after a third death rocks the town, she must decide whether to end things with Robbie or risk becoming another cautionary tale. So this one is another one that I'm excited to read. I'm not sure why my voice got quite so low there, but yeah, this one has the tagline, "Cross your heart and hope to survive." The final book, depending on your location, book title may vary. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Originally published as The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, the title was altered for the American market due to the thought that it might be confused with the book The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So I'm sure that was fun for Stuart Turton. This is a book I've had my eye on for a long time, and I was waiting for when Boxing Week rolled around so I could get it on sale, and I was able to, so that was really great. The Rules of Blackheath. Evelyn Hardcastle will be murdered at 11 p.m. There are 8 days and 8 witnesses for you to inhabit. We will only let you escape once you tell us the name of the killer. Understood? Let's begin. At a masquerade ball thrown by her parents at their country house, Evelyn Hardcastle will die. She will die every day until Aidan Bishop can identify who murdered her and stop the killer. At the beginning of each day, Aidan wakes up at the Blackheath house in the body of a different guest of the gala he attended the night before. And some of those guests are more helpful than others. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle is a breathlessly inventive Gothic mystery that follows one man's quest to find a killer within a mind-bending temporal loop where no one can be trusted and nothing is quite what it seems. So, I feel like this book could go 2 ways. it could get super confusing or it's gonna be really great. So I guess I'll just have to wait and find out, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading this one most enthusiastically out of probably all of the books in this haul. So you can watch for that review coming out sometime in 2025. And that is all I have for you today. I hope it wasn't too long. There was a lot of Agatha Christie in here to get through. But that's all. Thanks for joining me here today for this abundant haul of books. And I hope that I will see you back on the channel for book reviews or whatever else happens to come along in 2025.